My friends, one of the most important parts of a mix is the master. It's become a pretty common concept that the mastering stage is where you make your mix competitive. But what exactly does that mean, and what is the most simplistic way to achieve it? Well, don't you worry, because by the end of this episode, any and all questions about having a competitive mix will be answered. And I'll also answer another question while I'm here, because you all keep asking about JST EQ. It's not gonna cost you a penny, but we will get to that later, so close your wallets and buckle up, because your savings will definitely be maximized. So what's happening, fam? Miami here with JST, and for a long time I used to contemplate if I really want to focus my energy on becoming a great mastering engineer. Like, the amount of hours that went into getting production under my belt, singing and mixing already took a huge toll on me. How much time would I have to invest at this point to become an amazing mastering engineer, when there are people that have been doing this forever and spend all day long doing it? Is this where my efforts are best spent? I can promise you this: I'm never going to be that guy with $30,000 worth of mastering gear. The most you're probably going to see from me is that SSL Fusion over there, and maybe, that new SSL bus comp. So finding some tools that can help you get to a competitive place quickly is the move to make when you don't plan on becoming the next Ted Jensen. And I'll be showing some tools I've been using as of late that I'm sure are going to help you guys understand how simple this process can be. But let's get into the first step of making a competitive master: finding a proper reference. I've said this on the channel before, but when you're looking for a reference track, you want to find something within the same genre. Trying to find references just because you think they're a good mix or master is never the way to go. If you're referencing a metal song that has tons of double kick and snares, but you're mixing a pop punk song, you might not be able to properly compare the way the fast transients from the shells are reacting to the type of compressor you're using on your master, for example. So the first step you want to do is pick a couple songs in the genre that give you a solid target to reach for. And once you have this part figured out, it's time to go on to the next step: spotting the differences between your mix and the target mix. And this is such an important step, because without being able to diagnose, how would you be able to make any positive, definitive decisions towards your goal? There are a few areas to always look at when comparing the two, and we're going to break them down one by one. First off, the EQ balance. This is a pretty simple one to notice, but before getting into the thought of specific frequencies, it's important to grasp the overall picture. Is the target mix brighter or darker than your reference? Let's listen to the song and reference again. This mix is obviously darker, so let's try to tilt this to be a little closer to the reference. I'll be using JST Maximizer in this example. Okay, great. That has us closer to the ballpark of our reference, but now we can dig into some specific frequency areas that can pull us closer sonically. I'll be using JST EQ for this example. Okay, perfect. Now the overall picture is there from an EQ curve standpoint. If you enjoyed that workflow, make sure to join the JST plugin waitlist in the description below to give you early access to plugins like Maximizer, which comes with a free copy of JST EQ. We're really out here putting in work these days. But now that we have the EQ section right, it's time for us to move on. Getting the low end right. You want to make sure that for the genre you're in, that the bass is in the right place and you have the appropriate sub information. And I wouldn't mind having some more sub information myself, so make sure you hit that subscribe button and leave a comment. I like to chat and have discussions. I'm still an audio nerd at the end of the day. But back to what I was saying. The way I like to get my low end right is to make sure that I've monoed out my low end for starters, usually somewhere around 80 to 150 hertz, and then I make sure the bass is tight and shaped in a way that benefits the song. This part is where you really want to take into account if you're trying to deviate a lot from the reference or stick close to it. But it's just to ensure that your low end center is the backbone of the track. Now let's take a look at that. That's pretty close to the reference, so let's keep moving forward. Next, we want to see the style of compression our reference has. Is it pumping, glued, or just lightly compressed? Then we want to try and emulate that style of compression. The reference sounded very glued, so it's safe to go with a VCA styled compressor like the SSL bus comp. I'm going to actually put this before maximizer because I like how the bass is enhanced at this point, and if I put it after the compressor, it's not going to react the way I want it. But I want it after the EQ because bus compressors will react wildly different based on the curve of the EQ and how well you have your mix buses glued. So let's try to glue this thing a bit. Alright, now we're getting somewhere. The EQ curve is much nicer, the low end is sitting right and the track is compressed properly. The next extremely important thing to do is the most obvious. Make it loud because that's what mastering is, right? That's the competitive part that comes to mind when we talk about it. We want to reach for the general area of LUFS that our reference is in and then push our mix to that level. Let's mess around with it and find a result that we're all happy with. We have to find the right threshold here for starters and then decide how we want to limit or clip it. Alright, that was it. We're nearly done, but now we have the issue of mastering to the platform. In recent history, it's become an issue of every platform having a different desire for how loud a track should be. But since Spotify and Apple Music can't come to an agreement, it's nice that we have tools like Maximizer that can help us alleviate this issue. It's honestly one of my favorite features from Maximizer. The fact you can just match your LUFS to a platform with the click of a button makes it the perfect tool to go at the end of your chain. And you can make different bounces for yourself or clients with the click of that button. And it's an honest lifesaver because it's another thing the world has made overly complicated, right? Well, when the world complicates things, we find the proper tools to alleviate the issues. So let's go over all of this one more time. Finding a proper reference, spotting the differences between your mix and the target mix, such as EQ balance, getting the low end right, the style of compression, and loudness. And finally, mastering for the platform. These are the steps that you need to follow to make sure that you have a competitive mix. Not like you need to have a good song or anything, as long as the mix slaps. But in all seriousness, you could have the best mix of your life. And if it simply isn't loud enough, it will be considered amateur. And who wants that to be someone's first thought when you show something that you poured your heart and soul into? Nobody. So now with a couple plugins, you can simplify this process. In a way, you can minimize your workload with Maximizer. Do you guys feel like this is going to make your life easier? Do you think there's any details that I missed? Leave it in the comments below and I will chat with you fine people like I always do. If you're an engineer on the come up, give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, you only have to do it one time. And tap that bell for notifications so when a video drops, you know the location. Until next time, I will catch you guys. Mic drop. Except as engineers know, we never really drop this thing because that get really expensive. I've dropped a lot of SM57, so kind of moving back to the road, Hopefully they don't get too mad about it this time. Catch you guys later.